Batman is down. Robin and Catwoman's desperate move. Joker's Arkham takeover. Last Halloween 4, amidst the incongruous cheer of a decorated Christmas tree, Carmine Falcone, clad in a blood-spattered robe, stands over a beaten and bleeding Batman. Falcone snarls, "You brought this on yourself, freak." Batman, struggling to stay upright, thinks Christmas is a hard time. Falcone levels a pistol at the Dark Knight. Batman counters, his voice rough, "My family only wanted to do business." "You made it personal," Falcone shouts, punctuating his fury with a vicious kick that sends a guttural cry of pain erupting from Batman. Falcone, now nursing a bleeding leg wound, falls back. He thinks, "Sometimes I'd wish I was one of those kids, watching the fun we had." Batman, slumped on the floor, reflects, "My parents, the Flying Graysons, always did an extra show that day. For the kids," my dad would say. "After they were murdered, I never wanted another Christmas ever." Coughing, Batman looks towards a portrait on the wall, his voice strained, barely a whisper. "That is," coughing, "because gurgles." "It is." Batman's thoughts drift back to a time when his life was different. In the vast, cavernous Batcave, Dick Grayson, dressed as Robin, sits across a chessboard from Alfred Pennyworth, the loyal butler, making a move. Dick leans forward, a hint of youthful impatience in his voice. "Ah, home at last." Alfred replies calmly, "It's about time." But the quiet moment is shattered by a thunderous roar. The Batmobile, looking battered and tangled with vines, bursts through a collapsed section of the cave wall. The impact sends debris flying, knocking over the chess table and sending Alfred tumbling backward. Dick lunges forward, concern etched on his face, shouting, "Merry Christmas, Alfred, Master Dick." As he helps Alfred up, his internal monologue continues. "He didn't only save my life solving the James Gordon kidnapping." Another feather for his cowl. Alfred looks at him, sensing something is wrong, and asks, "Isn't he coming in a little fast?" Dick, remembering this pivotal moment, thinks, "Bruce gave me a life." A stark image flashes, the silhouetted figures of Alfred and young Dick bathed in the glowing, empty eyes of the Batman-cowled figure. The thought hangs in the air. We are Batman and Robin. Chaos erupts in the Batcave. A bloodied, unconscious Batman is pulled from the wreckage of the Batmobile. Alfred is immediately in charge, his voice sharp with urgency. "We have to get him out of there. Now." I've never heard Alfred take that tone with me, Dick thinks. Alfred shouts over the din, over to the surgical table. "He's not breathing. Quickly, Robin, every second counts." Dick strains to lift the heavy, limp form, grunting. He weighs a ton," Alfred explains. "He is unconscious. When the body goes limp, it only feels heavier." Dick looks at the wrecked car, confused. "If he was out, how'd he drive here?" Alfred doesn't pause his assessment of Batman, his voice firm. "The car. It has a computer that will autopilot when he listened, Dick. No more questions, just do as I say." Alfred, now wearing gloves and a stethoscope, leans over the table, checking Batman. Dick watches anxiously, asking softly, "He's going to be okay, right?" "Be quiet," Alfred replies, his focus absolute. I hated that tone in his voice. Dick remembers his circus life, his father's voice after a show, saying, "Check the lines," ordering him afterwards, to make sure the rope hadn't frayed from the weight of the swing. Dick thinks before the show we had to know the trapeze ropes were safe. The parallel between his two lives, both filled with danger and strict instruction, is clear. The scene shifts back to the Batcave, but the urgency is palpable. Batman lies on a surgical table, blood staining his suit, his chest still. Alfred stands over him, his face grim, as monitors beep erratically behind them. The wreckage of the Batmobile looms nearby, a harsh reminder of how he arrived. Alfred's voice is steady, but heavy with dread. His heart has stopped beating. Robin, his young face etched with terror, cries out, a desperate plea ripping from his throat. "Fix it, Alfred, fix him." As he watches the lifeless form of his mentor, a chilling memory surfaces, sharp and sudden. All of a sudden, I can't remember if I checked the lines the night they died. The weight of the past crashes down on the present crisis. Meanwhile, the goon's fear turns to horror as the hulking figure rises, massive chains wrapped around his arm. He swings the heavy links with impossible strength, sending one of the men flying off the boat, hat and gun lost to the waves. The other goon stares in disbelief, stammering, "It's true." Grundy's cloudy eyes fix on him. "Born on a Monday," he rumbles. The boat's captain, terrified, backs away from the wheel, muttering, "No, no, no." The goon on deck scrambles back, shouting, "What are you?" unmoved. Solomon Grundy simply repeats, Solomon Grundy. Then, with a mighty heave, he flings the second goon clear over the boat and into the churning, dark water below. Solomon Grundy lumbers out of the dark water, the heavy chains dragging behind him. His gaze is fixed on the distant Gotham skyline. The boat that brought him speeds away, leaving a wake behind it. He speaks again, his voice a low growl. Died on a Saturday. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts on the shore near the city, a fiery bloom against the twilight sky. Grundy doesn't flinch. He turns his back on the blaze, heading towards the city, repeating his macabre verse, born on a Monday. The digital lines on the Batcave's monitor flatline, a stark red bar across the screen. Robin stares, a chilling echo from his past rising up. I can't go through this again. He asks, his voice small, desperate. Is he dead? Alfred works frantically over Batman, his face set with grim determination. We have 5 minutes, maybe less. They called us death-defying, Robin thinks, watching Alfred's gloved hands. My dad liked it, thought it brought a bigger crowd. He pleads softly, command, BRUCE. The memories flood back, the crowd watching the flying Graysons, a bigger crowd. And the thought, sharp and painful to watch. One of us die. A tear rolls down his cheek, falling unnoticed beneath the mask. But then on the monitor, a jagged line appears, then another. A pulse, erratic, weak, but there. Robin remembers the thrill of the circus, shouting, yay, after a performance. As much as I loved every show, he thinks, the memory vivid. The scene snaps back to the tense reality of the Batcave. Alfred works quickly, gloved hands tending to Batman. We still have to get the bullet out. Robin's eyes widen. Bullet, Alfred explains the severity, his voice tight. It punctured his lung. Blood is filling up in there. As Alfred prepares a scalpel, a memory flashes, a frayed trapeze rope, a thin strand pulling apart, one frayed line. Robin looks on, worried. He thinks, I was happier when it was over. His mind returns to the night of the tragedy. Then one night, his parents gone. He watches Alfred, back in the present, working meticulously. A small metallic plunk echoes in the cave as a bloody object drops into a basin. The bullet is out. Back in the Batcave, as days turn into weeks, Robin sits by the monitors, watching the slow, flickering signs of life from Batman. He can't be gone, he thinks, a quiet determination hardening his resolve. He walks to the gleaming, repaired Batmobile. He slides into the driver's seat, the cockpit lights illuminating his masked face. Activates the systems, a voice synthesized and calm responds. ON, desired location. Startled, Robin leans forward. Start, go. The car's voice repeats, desired location. Robin looks confused. Alfred. Again, the system prompts, desired location. Understanding dawns on him. OHHH, you're just the autopilot voice. He doesn't hesitate, urgency filling his voice. Arkham Asylum and make it fast. A single word confirms the command, drawn out, mechanical, yes. Robin grips the wheel, eyes set. A moment later, with a powerful surge and a final, echoing, yes. From the car's system, the Batmobile blasts out of the Batcave, leaving the quiet, waiting figure of Batman behind. The Batmobile, a blur of blue, speeds across the snow-covered grounds of Arkham Asylum. The forbidding structure looms under a dark, red-tinged sky. Robin has arrived. One will to live coming up, he thinks, his mission clear. Inside, Calendar Man sits in his cell, the months tattooed across his head, looking surprisingly lucid. He smirks at the sight of the young hero. Aren't you up a little late for a school night, boy wonder? Robin approaches the bars, staff in hand, and taps it sharply against the floor. T.O.K. He looks Calendar Man dead in the eye. Tell me what you know, and maybe I can get you out of here. Calendar Man leans closer, his gaze intense. You're on the wrong side. Robin's expression hardens. No. I stay out here, and you stay in there. The date on the cell wall reads OCT 31. Robin's face tightens. He remembers arriving back here on Halloween night, the night it all changed. What did I tell you about coming back to this place? He thinks, but his outward voice is firm, cold. Just who I was looking for. Outside Calendar Man's cell, Robin is suddenly face to face with Catwoman, whip cracking. Last time I wasn't ready for you, Robin states, staff ready. Catwoman lunges, agile and fast, kicking high. Calendar Man watches from inside his cell, a faint smirk on his face. Catwoman's voice is mocking. You call that ready? Robin deflects her attack, the staff hitting her whip with a sharp KRAK. Catwoman lands gracefully, but then sweeps her leg, catching Robin and knocking him back. She tells him, cold and dismissive, go home, hummingbird. Robin pushes back up, determined. Nope, this is ready. Catwoman snarls, frustrated. Ah, damn you. Robin thinks to himself, this better work or Bruce is gonna be so mad. Catwoman leaps, claws extended, hissing, I'm going to claw your eyes out. Robin anticipates her move, staff ready, thinking, I was hoping you'd come in close. He ducks under her attack and swiftly pulls out a spray can, unleashing a burst of orange gas directly into her face. Catwoman stumbles back, clutching her eyes, sputtering. What are you? She collapses onto the ground, dazed, cursing softly. Idiot. Robin stands over her, the can in his hand. Calendar Man watches from his cell, a deck of cards in his hand, a faint smile playing on his lips. Robin then scoops up the stunned Catwoman, throwing her over his shoulder. As he carries her towards the cell door, he mutters, Luckily, you weigh a lot less than someone we both know. Calendar Man, now covering his nose and mouth through the cell window, lets out a muffled HRRM. Out on the rain-slicked street, under the glow of a flickering street lamp and a police car's flashing lights, Solomon Grundy marches forward. Heavy chains clank and drag behind him, punctuated by the terrifying repetition of his name, Solomon Grundy. Inside a police station office, two officers are working late. One, a grizzled man in a trench coat, remarks to his colleague, Late shift, Lopez. Happy New Year. Lopez at her desk asks, Sir, is that firecrackers outside? Suddenly, the detective's eyes widen, realizing the sound isn't celebration. Gunfire. Just then, the large arched window behind them shatters inward with explosive force. Debris flies everywhere as one of the police officers is hurled through the opening, landing amidst the shattered glass and splintered wood. Solomon Grundy stands in the gaping hole, a monstrous silhouette against the night sky, chains swinging. The remaining officer, bruised and bleeding, stares in horror, whispering, Solomon Grundy. He crawls towards his injured partner, shouting desperately, Lopez! Lopez! Inside Arkham Asylum, chaos reigns. Solomon Grundy stomps down a hallway of cells, inmates reaching out desperately. Get me out, they plead. Grundy ignores them, his gaze fixed, chains dragging. No, take me, screams another. Grundy continues his relentless walk, muttering his rhyme, born on a Monday. He reaches a specific cell, where a woman in an orange jumpsuit waits behind bars. She looks at the hulking figure, her eyes wide with a mix of terror and recognition. Solomon, she whispers. Then her voice tinged with a strange hope. Did he send you? Did my Apollo send you to rescue me? Grundy doesn't answer with words, only action. With a surge of monstrous strength, he tears through the solid stone wall of her cell, his chained fist punching through the barrier, ready to claim his prize. The wall of the cell explodes inward as Solomon Grundy's chained fist crashes through. He grabs the woman from her cell. Catwoman stirs, waking inside the Batmobile, dazed. She looks at Robin sitting beside her, eyes narrowing. She tries to move, disoriented. MMMROW, she murmurs, then snaps. Where? What? How? You? Robin tries to explain quickly, looking slightly guilty. Look, I'm sorry. I was afraid you'd say no. He thinks, my dad taught me to work without a net. It's the most dangerous thing an acrobat could do. Catwoman snarls, spitting the words, little bastard, as she glares at him. Robin stares back, determined. I knew I had to learn it anyway. A memory flashes, Alfred's grim face, his words echoing. He got shot. He's going to die. Robin's thoughts return to the present, steadfastly believing, you have to believe there is a net. He turns to Catwoman, rubbing his face with his hand, voice strained, raw with emotion. I didn't know what else to do. I don't pretend to understand what you two have or have not, but doctor says he needs a will to live to wake him up. Robin looks at her intently, his voice dropping slightly, hoping she'll understand. And I figured you'd know what that means. Catwoman looks away, her masked face unreadable, then tells him flatly, stop crying. Her voice is sharp, almost a hiss. I hate that. Her gaze is distant, a silent, cynical reply hanging in the air, even when there isn't one. Back in the Batcave, Catwoman stands over the still form of Batman on the surgical table, Robin looking on anxiously. She leans down, her voice low, addressing the unconscious hero. You look like hell. I'm taking off your oxygen mask. Robin watches, unsure what to do. Catwoman gently but firmly removes the mask from Batman's face. Robin asks, his voice hesitant, what did you say to him? Catwoman turns, her gaze meeting his. She states simply, her tone complex, I gave him one of my 9 lives. A moment of silence hangs in the air, broken by the sound of Batman stirring, a ragged, wet cough escaping his lips. In the Batcave, a bandaged and bruised Batman stands, his arm around Robin in a protective embrace. Catwoman watches them, a silent observer to the intimate moment. Robin leans into the hug, his internal monologue revealing his deepest thoughts. I know that he sometimes thinks I'm not ready for my part, or that I'm too reckless for him. But then the thought shifts, a quiet triumph mingled with relief. But tonight I saved Batman's life, without a net. Catwoman steps forward, addressing Batman. So, I'm going to need a ride out of here, if you're up to it. Batman, still battered but clearly awake and moving under his own power, turns towards the entrance of the Batcave. He speaks, his voice rough from his injuries but firm. Let me shower and change my clothes. Robin, get her a blindfold. Catwoman, undeterred, simply states, I'll be waiting in the car. As Batman walks away, he thinks to himself the hardest part. He pauses, climbing the steps out of the main cave. The hardest part was that I could hear you the entire time. He reaches the top of the steps, looking back towards where Alfred stands silently watching. But my brain, or whatever, would not let me speak. Just to say, Batman turns to face Alfred, his voice low but clear, a genuine warmth in his tone. Thank you, Alfred. Driving away from Arkham, the Batmobile speeds through the cold night. Catwoman sits beside a bandaged Batman who is now back in his suit, his jaw set. Catwoman is still talking, trying to probe. Why this place? What are you hiding? Batman, focused on the road, replies curtly, Give it a rest, will you? She leans back, a small smile playing on her lips. It's been a long night. As they approach the imposing gates of Arkham, now standing wide open, Batman's expression darkens. The gates are open. Something is wrong. Catwoman nods in agreement, her voice laced with experience. Yeah, well, in my experience. Their conversation is cut short as they suddenly find themselves running through the snow, away from the asylum. Catwoman, slightly ahead, glances back at Batman, shouting, a hint of mischievous irony in her voice. Happy New Year, Bat and the Cat. They come to a halt, catching their breath, looking back towards Arkham. Batman remains silent, his gaze intense. Catwoman smirks. No good deed goes unpunished. She looks at him, her eyes twinkling. Cat, got your tongue, Bats. I'm feeling a bit jealous. And as Batman and Catwoman stare back at the open gates of Arkham Asylum, the figure responsible steps into the light. It's the Joker, standing triumphant at the entrance, holding a pistol in one hand and his cane in the other, a gaudy green garland draped around his neck like a festive lei. He beams, his grin wide and sharp. Here's the latest and greatest. All the loonies have left the bin. He holds up his hand as if making a toast. And for my New Year's resolution, he throws his head back, a wild, cackling laugh echoing through the cold night. I gotta catch 'em all. H-H-H-H-H-H-H. The asylum is empty, the inmates are free, and the clown prince of crime is ready to play. What new chaos will the new year bring to Gotham? Find out next time. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay awesome. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing content.